Our show is brought to you by Barreto Home Solutions, Bayou Audio and Video, Hot Works on the North Shore, JFK Martial Arts in Mandeville and Covington, Black Hawk Hauling, Lil Dizzy's Cafe, Wags Food and Culture, Moe's Pizza, The Green Law Firm, Personal Injury Attorney, Drums Earwear.
Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. 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 Hands up, hands up. If you winning and you don't give a fuck about a hater, tell them move, 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 move. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Hash It Out Show. I'm your host, JB, the sports guy. We got a good show for y'all tonight. Joining us in a little bit will be former NFL player and former Edna Carr standout, the one, the only Patrick Surtain Sr. Later on, we will have former West Jefferson standout and former LSU and Southern University football player Chris Cooper. And as you know, I cannot do this without my two co-hosts. You can find them on CrescentCitySports.com. We have the one and only VK Jones. What's going on, VK?
What's good, everybody? Like, tag, share, and subscribe to the Hash It Out Show on all social media platforms. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. We'll continue to grow each and every week. We continuing on Legends Month. We definitely appreciate you joining us, and let's get this thing rolling.
Definitely. Also, we got George Peppers. What's going on, George Peppers?
What's up, Jared Boyd, VK Jones? Hope y'all gentlemen are doing just fine. And just a reminder, VK, I like Little Dizzy's. Just saying. But we have a great show tonight. But I'm really, and we'll talk about this later. Looking forward to tomorrow night, VK. And you know why? You know who we got tomorrow night, but we'll talk about that later. Just saying, I want to see how this psychological warfare is going to be tomorrow night. But tonight, guys, stay tuned. It's going to be a great show. We got Chris Cooper. We got goodness gracious, I just brain farted. Patrick Surtain Sr. Look, legends are legends are legends, and we have got a lot of them for you for the rest of this month of July. And you know, it is the perfect segue when we leave July. Football season, prep football previews. Stay tuned for that. We're just getting rolling here on the Hash It Out Show, and we're already past the 150 episode threshold. Coming up on 200, just that fast, guys.
Just that fast. It's like we just had show 100 not too long
100.
ago. Yeah, so
And don't it doesn't feel like it though.
it doesn't, but it is what it is, man. It's how life goes on, man. So
Correct.
good to see you all tonight. We're gonna have a great show. What are your thoughts about Anthony Edwards saying that he is the number one option for Team USA basketball?
That's a confident dude, huh? Overly confident, maybe. I mean, is there another anecdote to really put into words what he said? And look, let's not dog on Anthony Edwards, the player. That dude had a come out this year in these playoffs. They went to the Western Conference Finals, ultimately getting knocked off by the Mavericks, who are just streaking the whole tournament. But Anthony Edwards, he announced himself as a top level player. But one playoff run doesn't make you option A on that basketball team, VK. It is not him. Sorry about your luck. It's LeBron, it's KD. There's other players ahead of him that I would feed the rock to in clutch situations. Not him.
Well, that's very, very understandable and everything else. For Andy Edwards, and to be honest, looking at what he said,
Appreciate you, Coach Fig. Go ahead, VK.
appreciate. Now, I'm gonna say it like this: for what Andy Edwards is saying, I love it. I love it. It's the fact of the
Why?
matter is, here's the thing: you have to
All
Make
right.
understand
it
this.
quick. Make it quick. Make it quick.
All right. The thing is, everybody else on there, and Andy Edwards looking at the bigger picture. There's a lot of players that are older and getting to their last legs, and he
Mhm.
knows that he's the dog. And the thing is, he respects him, and he shouldn't disrespect him too much. But at the same time, he knows one thing: when it comes down to it, if y'all ain't got it, I got your back. I'll pick you up.
VK, one question. Coach Watney was the coach back in the day for Edna Carr, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm making sure. Ladies and gentlemen, our our next guest was a standout player at Edna Carr High School. Went on to play college ball at Southern Mississippi, then was drafted in the second round to the Miami Dolphins, then later on traded to the Kansas City Chiefs, where he played 11 seasons. Now he is a defensive backs coach at Florida State University. The one, the only Patrick Surtain Sr. Pastor Surtain, how you doing, my man? Thank you for joining us.
What's up, fellas, man? Appreciate y'all having me.
Definitely, man. It's truly a pleasure. What was it that got you into playing football?
Oh man, I can just remember my older brother, growing up in the Magnolia Project and just seeing him go and playing at Shakespeare, and I used to just follow him around, and that's how I eventually led up to him. Just going to Shakespeare, running around playing, and eventually start playing for Leo and all those guys, and that's how I got started around 6, 7 years old.
We all watched Algiers America, which showcased the Edna Carr football program and the players that played for Edna Carr and growing up in Algiers. Were there any hardships that you faced growing up?
Oh, absolutely. Just the environment. Just because, like I said, I never stayed on the West Bank. I stayed uptown in Magnolia, and then I moved to New Orleans East, like my 10th, 11th grade year. So I was always an East Bank kid, going there. And obviously, growing up in those type of environments, you see all the bad stuff. You see guys get shot. You see the dolphins in the hallways. All kind of stuff. Your friends getting locked up, friends getting stabbed. All that stuff. But I was fortunate enough. I had my mom and dad and you know my uncles and brothers and a lot of family in that environment that kind of kept me away from all that stuff. And eventually I went to car and you know that's what it was.
You led Carr to a state championship in football and even in basketball. Your head coach, Coach Watney, how much did he mean to you as a person?
Man, he was a special man. Obviously, I went to car in 7th grade, so before Coach Wyden, I had Coach Rob. Coach Rob, the one who got me over there, Bill Robinson. He's kind of the architect of getting those guys from the East Bank to the West Bank. And then I had Coach Ott for junior high, and then Coach Wyden was my senior high coach, man. And he meant the world to not only me but a lot of guys who came through that program. And he left a lasting imprint on a bunch of us. And now you see a bunch of guys who went to car in the coaching profession, whether it's high school or college or even pros. Just the legacy and the things he taught us. It carried on so far into our adult lives.
You played college ball at Southern Miss. What was the decision to go to Southern Miss and play there?
It's simple, man. I was a high school quarterback. I never played DB in high school. Was always a quarterback ever since 7th grade on up. Through junior high, senior high, and I wanted to play quarterback. And Southern Miss, they say they would give me a chance to play quarterback, and went there like the second, third day of tour days. They moved me to DB. So I was thinking about transferring because I truly thought that I had the ability to play quarterback at the college level, but things turned out well for me, man. So I don't have no complaints.
I know that's right. You were drafted by the Miami Dolphins, then traded to the Chiefs. My question is, when you have a family coming up in Miami and you get traded, how hard is that on yourself, but even your family, when you get traded to go to another city?
Yeah, I think that the toughest part is on the family. Obviously, me being a professional athlete, that these things could happen at any time, and the Dolphins was kind of on a downswing. They were an up and coming team, and you know Nick Saban came in, he wanted to rebuild, younger guys, and I was a 7 year vet so thus far in my career. I just thought that a new opportunity, just a new environment would be good for me going to Kansas City. And while I was in Kansas City, I still kept my house in South Florida to this day. So my kids will go to to school in Kansas City halfway, and then January they'll come back to South Florida and come to school. So I always knew this was gonna be home for me. But I think the adjustment with the kids was pretty seamless because they were young. They weren't at that high school level where they've developed friends for 5 6 years. They were I think little Pat was in the fifth grade. My daughter was in kindergarten. So it wasn't too big of a deal for him. But like I say, I just kept him involved with the South Florida schooling as well.
Speaking of Lil Pat, you've been with your son throughout his whole life so far, and you shared a special moment with him when he got drafted to the Denver Broncos. Speak about that moment when it happened.
Oh man, it was surreal. Just you being a professional athlete yourself, played at the highest level, played in Pro Bowls, made a couple of All Pro teams, and to see your son come behind you in your footsteps, play the same position, and get drafted ninth overall in the NFL draft, man. And I saw it when he was a younger kid, about 9 or 10 years old. He got a chance to be really really special. And then he kept getting bigger, he kept getting faster. The ball skills and the awareness and the attention to detail. He always had the football smarts, and just him being the number one ranked DB in high school, then going to Bama and parlaying that until being the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, win the national championship, and then get drafted, ninth overall to the Broncos. Man, it was a dream come true, and I know for him, it was a culmination of all the hard work that he's put into his craft, man. And I started with him when he was like 5 years old, just getting him out there, going through the basic fundamentals, and then it just carried over, man. Now he's in the league, made All Pro team already, made two Pro Bowls, and the sky's the limit for him.
Most definitely, VK Jones.
Patrick Surtain, man, it's good to have you on, and I definitely appreciate you taking the time out to join us, man. And I could say personally myself, I'm a Florida State fan, diehard myself. You know what I'm saying? I know you're going in the second year, but welcome to the family. A lot of Louisiana connection, and I love it, man. Totally love it.
Yeah, man, and people don't realize, like, me growing up, like, I know we from Louisiana and all that, but Florida State was my school. I was like, Charlotte Ward is my favorite college football player to this day, and obviously we had Sean Jackson who came played running back, started at Car, went to St. Aug, so that connection was there. Played with a guy in the Louisiana high school. In the All Star game, Robert Hammond, he came here and played safety. So, like you said, played with Travis Minor at the Dolphins. So the Louisiana connection is heavy at Florida State, man, and we doing some special things there. We're gonna continue to do it. Recruiting guys from the boot, Florida and the surrounding areas to make this thing keep going the way it is.
And I played with a guy, Roland Seymour, who
Oh yeah.
he played at Florida State. He was my teammate when I played at St. Augustine.
Hmm.
So it's amazing. And you mentioned that's my favorite all time player at Florida State too is Charlie Ward, man. I
Yeah.
mean, and probably to me one of the greatest. I understand about Danny Warfel and Tim Tebow, but I'm sorry
Tim
that
Tebow, wrong school.
no, I'm talking about greatest quarterbacks in the state of Florida.
Oh, that what you mean? Okay, I got
That's what I mean. they can't top no Charlie Ward. I'm sorry.
So,
That's just what it
No,
is.
not at all.
Not at all.
we
But
just we me
go ahead.
man like no other.
Yes, indeed. And I know he probably didn't grace the campus a little bit a couple of times, but I would love to meet him. But at the same time, man, how I was getting that opportunity because you've been there through the coaching ranks. You coach high school, American Heritage High School, getting them a couple state championships, getting them as a very good program, and all of a sudden you get the opportunity to coach on the college level. How you felt that Florida State knocked on the door for you to get that opportunity?
Yeah, man. Well, it was crazy because Norvell had he recruited American Heritage a couple of times, seen them on the recruiting trail. But after high school, I actually went to the Dolphins for a year. I was an assistant with the Miami Dolphins, and we were actually preparing to play Buffalo in the playoffs. And out of nowhere, I get a call from Coach Norvell. Like, this Coach Norvell, how interested would you be in coming to college to coach? And I'm like, I'm in the NFL, man. I'm trying to go back to college. Don't want to deal with all this recruiting and chasing guys around and all that. But after giving me some serious thought, talking over my family, I'm like, you know what? I think it's an opportunity, for me to go there and make a bigger impact, on young men. In the NFL, those guys making millions and millions of dollars. So the impact doesn't come even though they respect you because you've been in their shoes. I think the you make more of an impact at the high school and college level. So I had been in high school already. I've been to pros for a year. I like, let me get this college thing a try. And after the playoff game, I accepted the job, man. And the rest is history. It was rocky to start off with. Not gonna lie, because like I said, I wasn't used to chasing these guys around, recruiting, kissing these 18, 19-year-old butts, man. I ain't with all that. But so I got used to this thing. It became fun, and the ball is the ball. Once you're out there on the field, man, it's fun. You're a teacher out there. You're teaching guys techniques and all that. But once you master the off the field stuff, that's when it become more fun. And I think I've done that so far.
Well, a couple of Louisiana people, I believe Gabe Fertitta is still on the staff, I think, and I know David Johnson, and,
Yep.
and I'm pretty tight with David Johnson. We had him on on our show a couple times, and we
That's who
we
told me.
go ahead.
That's who told me about the show. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the last time we had him on, it was the time when Florida State didn't make the playoff, and personally, it upset me a whole lot. But at the same time, he came on and really laid things out, talking about the whole process. What were your thoughts on, everything, the hard work and all that stuff, and all of a sudden, because of a technicality, Florida State just didn't make the four. So, what were your thoughts on that, especially that great season that y'all had last year?
I'm still fire hot about that, because I felt going into that thing, we were hot. Defense was cooking. And I think even with the backup quarterback, even with Tate, if you give him 3 weeks to prepare, to prepare within the offense, you still got to deal with Keon and Johnny on the outside. You still got to deal with Trey Benson running the ball. You still got to deal with Jaheim Bell and all those guys. Like, we played against Georgia. We had 12 dudes on that team that didn't play in the game who got drafted or went free agent. So they can talk about the Georgia game or whatever, but if we would have gotten that Final Four, man, I truly believe in my heart that we would have won the whole thing. Because, like I said, we were hot, guys were together, and we had some dudes on that team, But I'm still fire hot about it. I'm about 70% over it because I know we got a season to prepare for now, but it just robbed those kids of an opportunity. Everything we work for, everything you teach a kid, you win all your games that you get to play for the biggest prize, and that didn't happen, man, because of some shenanigans going on with the committee or what have you. But we that's something that we hold strongly, as a chip going into this year, man. And those guys are hungry. We had a great off season. I know this year we're gonna come out with the same vengeance as we did last year, man. I feel we have a really, really good team.
VK, let me jump in right quick
Go ahead. Go ahead.
because I don't understand how a team can go undefeated, win their conference championship, and still not make the playoffs. and they want to say because they haven't played well the last 2 games, they don't look like the Final Four. I just thought that was total baloney. I thought y'all earned that spot, and it's crazy to hear Coach Novell say when he saw Marty Smith was at Alabama, he knew that Florida State did not make the playoffs, and I just thought it was a tragedy myself.
Yeah, playing like in what landscape? Like we played our ass off on defense. We played well on defense. Offense, we did enough to get the job done. We didn't turn the ball off. Over, we played team ball, offense, defense, special teams. And if you look at it like we score 40 points, so be it. We won the game that was put ahead in front of us, and we did it with style points on defense. The defense was dominant.
Yep.
Those last couple of games. So it is what it is, man. Obviously, it's a hard pill to swallow, especially for those seniors who didn't get the opportunity to play in the Final Four, man. That's a lasting memory that I know they would want to have on their resume, but didn't happen.
As a Florida State fan myself, and I really, looking at the last couple of years has been unbelievable. And going back and looking at the highlight videos and all that stuff, and I knew Coach Norvell would be successful eventually, in which he was getting stuff done and putting this new tradition. Like after every win, they hit the brick, they hit the little brick and all that stuff. I love that, man. So I'm like, yeah, the fight, the glory is back in Florida State. You know what I'm saying? So I just hope y'all continue with that. Let's talk about your days a little bit at Edna Carr. You played with some tremendous athletes. Going down the line, Robert Royal. You played with you played with Bernard Robinson, Jerry Phillips. Um, you played with a whole bunch of great people on that car squad that just set the tone more than
Absolutely.
anything else. How do you think that how it really set the tone for what the tradition is at Carr right now and how it continues to really thrive as a high school?
Yeah, man, it was crazy because like I said, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Carr was just a junior high school. So we played junior high, we played Gregory, we played Bell, we played Phillips and all them. We won like 12 straight junior high championships in the dome. So when my ninth grade year came, Mr. Guerin and the powers to be, the principal, Mr. Hauser, whatever, they were talking about making Carr a senior high program because if I wouldn't have went to Carr, my 10th grade year, I would have went to probably Old Perry Walker or somewhere. So my ninth grade class, me, Delphine Lee, Edward Dillon, Anthony Porter, Charlie Aero, all us, we knew that we had something special in that class. So the school decided to make Edna Carr a high school, 7 through 12. So we got to play high school games. Our 10th grade year, we weren't eligible to go to the playoffs or what have you. Our 11th grade year, we had just gotten in the district. We played Shaw. We should have beat Shaw. We played some really good teams. But my senior year, that was the year. That was the year that we were eligible to go to the playoffs, and we wound up winning the state championship, the first Orleans Parish public school to win the state championships in 1956, and that was our first year, being able to go all the way. So, and like you said, man, we won in football, we won in basketball the same year. The year before, we lost at the buzzer in basketball. So, I think those guys know the guys who came after us. They know about that 9-3 team. That laid the foundation for everything. And most of my teammates on that team, they're now coaching that car right now. So I'm pretty sure they remind those guys all the time. But the legacy has been, man, what coaches have done at car, man, has been none short of phenomenal, man. They are a legitimate national program, man. But it all started with that 9-3 team. Make no doubt about it.
Absolutely. And I always say that team sets the tone and everything else. No offense. All I know that 2014 team, Alden Clark senior year, the Algiers Renaissance with Landry Walker, probably one of the greatest car teams I've ever seen. I really thought so because of the fact of how they just like everybody was back on that team, but how they just dominated,
Yeah.
especially in a tough district where three teams making the state semifinals.
Wow.
So that's how tough that car team was and averaging 50 in the district.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy, but at the same time, I always say those are the two all-time teams at car that just was like lights out unbelievable. Now with yourself, you wind up going to Southern Miss, playing DB, making the adjustment and everything else. I know it was a good environment up in Southern Miss, and you was very, very consistent over there. How it was a couple of years later, trying to help out probably one of the best running backs ever in the state's history, Dwayne Woods, coming down to Southern Miss to play with you. How it was to help him get the adjustment to the college game, because I know he had to switch positions himself.
Yeah, D Woods, man. He has all of the high school records or what have you when he was at Salmon. And actually, I think I was D Woods' host when he came on the visit. So he was right up the street from Hattiesburg, man, and he wanted to make a difference. Not too far from home. And I think people labeled him as undersized, but you saw what he did in high school, man. He was a spectacular football player, and eventually went to Southern Miss and kind of replicated what he did in high school. So, just getting guys like that from Louisiana to come to Southern Miss, and it hasn't been the same since. And I've talked to Coach about it. When Southern Miss was Southern Miss, we were getting those guys from the boot that LSU didn't want coming up there and playing against that level of competition at Southern Miss. We actually beat LSU my true freshman year. We almost beat Florida. We beat Georgia. So our motto was anytime, any place, anywhere. We'll play anybody back in those days, man. But you see now with the program, coach is trying to get it back on solid foot, and I think he'll do a good job with it.
Last question, and I'll pass it to George Peppers here. The NFL has been amazing to you and your son. Your son has been really, really playing well, and the talent didn't come as far as anything else, especially in the bloodline. But yourself, how you had a very, very good career, and you and Sam Madison was totally killing it for the Dolphins. How it was with you and Sam Madison really just handling business and really being the linchpins to a very good Miami Dolphins defense.
Oh man, it was fun, and not only me and Sam, but we had T Buck for a period, Terrell Buckley,
Terrell Buckley.
Florida State legend,
Yeah.
somebody who I revere and look up to. We had a really, really good secondary. We had a really good defense. We had Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor on that team. We had some Tim Bowens and Wally Agunle, Trace Armstrong, Daryl. So we had some guys on that defense, man, at every level. The only thing was we really couldn't get the offense going. So if we would have had that Marino offense with Duper and Clayton paired with our defense, oh man, we would won all kinds of Super Bowls. But it was fun, man. Just the opportunity to compete against the best guys in the world and shut them down and playing press coverage every down. A lot of guys can't do that. And me and Sam did it for 7 years, 8 years respectively with the Dolphins, man, and made 7 combined Pro Bowls, made 5 combined All Pro teams. So we really locked it down. And like I said, it's tough going out there every play against the likes of Randy Moss and Terrell Lawrence, Hall of Famers Marvin Harrison, and getting up there and challenge those guys every play and making plays every week. I feel that we're definitely one of the top, you know, cornerback tandems to ever play the game of football. So, career was great, man. On the bigger things.
Could hopefully that could maybe you might get that gold jacket, that call sooner or later, bro. Because you had a really, really good career, and we got a couple of people from the boot that have made the NFL Hall of Fame.
I put them numbers up against anybody. Tell guys all the time, just look at the film, man. Look at the number of touchdowns I gave up, the pass breakups, the interceptions, the sacks I had because I played a little nickel too. Just the all around game, man. Like the committee or whatever who voted on that, that's one thing. But to get the respect of your peers, I think that means even more. And the guys who I played against, they knew what it was out there.
George Peppers.
Pat Surtain, first of all, thank you for taking the time for joining us, man, and being a part of this great thing we call Legends Month. It's our second year doing it. Outstanding stuff. And you, my friend, have had an outstanding career. Congratulations on every accolade that you have. The Hall for you. I feel like it have a real opportunity to get that golden jacket. It would be so awesome to see you. Be so awesome to see you in that golden blade happens. So I just want to say that. But my first question, let's go back to your high school days at Etna Car. You guys were the first group of
Mhm.
players to put Etna Car on the map. But with the standard of football that's been set, Carr hasn't been to a state, hasn't won a state title. I think Jared in what 5 years? I think 6 years. Has it been
Since
five,
'80,
6? I want to say
'80s.
5, 6 years. It's been
Yep.
a minute. Do you feel like that the other schools in Orleans, i.e., Warren Easton or Kennedy, are they catching up, or is Carr in a dry spell in your mind? Comparing eras, I hate to do that; it stinks. But in your mind, do you think the standard in football was set a little too not? I don't want to say a little too high, but do you think these other schools are catching up, or is Carr in a dry spell, or what? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I don't. I think that they still run the city. Don't get it twisted. Even though my guy Jerry over there, Warren Easton, another Carr alum, doing a really good job. I think those are the two schools in the city. But I don't know if Carr has lost to Easton in a minute. It's just when they get out of the city and get up there to Catholic Baton Rouge, and I know they lost to Westgate with half. Once they get in third round of playoffs, then things change. I think they got to get more style up front. Guys are running the ball on them, So I think once they can establish the line of scrimmage, and I actually went some in the jamboree against Destrehan and another good friend of mine, Marcus Scott, who went to Carr. They look like they got the
Mhm.
trenches fixed. So I'm expecting a great year from them this year, and hopefully, when they get to the playoffs, get to those tough situations, they're able to get over the top and bring home that another state championship to where it belongs. 33, 3200 drive, baby. The old car.
I think,
That's
I think,
right.
I think, yeah, exactly. I think that schedule sets up for that opportunity that you're talking about, with the first two games being Shaw and Opelousas. Two pretty robust groups. But I want to say before I ask my next question, you mentioned Warren Easton. I was one of the knuckleheads that picked Warren Easton last year against Carr. I was one of those that put it out there that I thought it's about time that the crown gets turned, and whoops, Carr blew him out with a team that was supposed to be a transitional team. That wasn't one of their top tier teams. So, but yeah, whoops. Sometimes we all make
Yeah.
mistakes, and that was a banana peel on my part. But I
And over
figure
the
I'll
years,
humble
man,
myself in front of you, sir.
Carr and Easton have had some epic games. Like I said, man, most of those games come down to the last second. I've actually been to a couple of them. The state game and I think another regular season playoff game would have you. And those teams are evenly matched, man. Carr just found a way to pull it out at the end. But like I said, man, Jared Phillips does a tremendous job over there with
He
those kids
does.
that won. And he produces some high level, D1 players as well.
Yep.
You talk. Let's talk about rivalries now with Carr. Easton and Carr is one of the preferential games in the city. It is one of the most hyped games. But do you feel, where would you put Carr and Easton amongst other rivalries in the state of Louisiana? Do you think that they've carved their own niche to be amongst the best rivalries in the state?
Uh Probably because the teams are separated from what 20 minutes from Carter to Easton
Something
and
like that.
something like that, and they continuously play each other every year and have these great games. I'm not really familiar with the rivalries up north in Shreveport or Baton Rouge or anything like that. But I think in the city, obviously you got your Catholic League schools, St. Aug, and whoever they play in the Catholic League. But I would consider Carr and Easton right up there because of the games they played over the last 5 to 7 years that have been really really good football games and the football players that
Hmm.
they produce from those rivalries. So I will put them up there. And you got the car graduate who's the head coach of East coming back to play his alma mater. So I think that's made for great TV.
Transitioning to your playing career at Carr, starting at Carr, going to your senior year, when you were recruited, was Southern? What was it about Southern Miss that put you there? That made you ultimately decide to go there, and how close was it with any other school that was recruiting you?
Yeah, I just looked at Southern Miss schedule and the teams that were going to play, and the history of them playing big time SEC schools. Like I said, they were the ones that there was going to give me an opportunity to play quarterback in. I remember on my recruiting visit, my host was another New Orleans guy, Michael Tobias, who played at Riverdale, had a really good career at Southern Miss, a great career at Southern Miss, went on and played in the league for a couple of years. And just being there, man, it just felt home, felt like home. And that's what I tell the guys in the recruiting battles now. Go to a place that fits you. Now, though Southern Miss fit me perfectly, it was just for for far away from home. It was an hour and a half away from home, not too far, but a place for my
Yeah,
parents to see me play and all that. And like I said, they had a very good team. Coach Bauer was a really, really good football coach, and I just thought, that the town of Hattiesburg fit me and where I was in my life, at that point.
yeah. Jeff Bauer did a great job at Southern Miss. Won a lot of games. I think he was the coach when they beat Florida State back in the day when Brett Favre was the
Absolutely.
quarterback, if I remember right.
Yep.
So I hate to bring that up, VK. I know VK's a Florida State guy, so kind of wanted to flash back in that. But you know, when you talk about the process of being at Southern Miss, and well, let me backtrack a little bit. I've asked this of other legends. I'm going to ask you. There have been a lot of great corners in the NFL. Darrell Green, Deion Sanders, Rod Woodson, all those guys had outstanding careers, bona fide Hall of Famers. Who did you pattern your game after, and who did you model yourself after as you embarked on your career?
Oh man, that's a good question. I really I felt I had my own style. Obviously you look at some older guys, I obviously Deion Sanders, who's probably the greatest corner to ever play the game. I also look at guys, Southern Miss alum, Hanford Dixon, Frank Minifield. Those guys were really good players. Aeneas Williams, who was a hometown guy,
See, Forte.
a Hall of Famer. Who I'm
Hmm.
friends with to this day. So, like I said, it was a. I think it was just me moving to the position and finding my own niche in it with me never really having played the position before, but being athletic enough to try to know my way first. Not that I up there and press coverage and let me stay in front of guys. And once I saw that I was really good at doing that, then I found my niche in the game, and just took off from there. So like I said, I looked at some guys, but my playing ability just came from me just learning how to play the position on the run.
Now, getting into the NFL, take us to the moment you got drafted in the second round. Take us through that day and that whole process, and how really on. Let's be honest, how nerve wracking it is because players are just on the edge, and you're like, I could be a first rounder, I could be a second rounder, but and I know the generic answer is, well, I'll play for anybody who drafts me.
Right.
And I'm not going to ask you who did you prefer, but I want you to take us through your draft day and your draft moment when you got that call that you were going to the National Football League.
Yeah, I actually I thought I had the opportunity to go first round to San Francisco, but they took RW McQuarter. So second round, win New Orleans East right off of Bullard at my mom's house. Party over 150 people there, and the second round came in. I had took a 30 visit with the Dolphins, so I know they had some interest in me, and I think they moved up, trade the first round pick to jump Tampa Bay to take me with the 44 pick. Got the call from Jimmy Johnson, man, and it was pure jubilation. I just remember me getting drafted, and I'm going to the Lakeside Mall looking for my jersey right there. Like I've been been in the league for a couple of years. So me and a bunch of my boys went. Obviously, they didn't have the jersey, but I just thought it was an opportunity, man. Just coming from where I come from, and just knowing
Absolutely.
the journey that I had, man, and just celebrating it with family and friends. It was really special moment.
And playing for Jimmy Johnson, one of the more polarizing head coaches in our game in the history of the National Football League. What was it like? Because you see a lot of tape and you hear a lot of how bolstered, really, I don't want to say cocky or nothing like that. I don't think that's the right acronym to use, but he was to me, one of the best players coaches I've ever seen. He was one of those that really related to his players and understood the mindset and then channeled it to a lot of success. What was it like playing for Jimmy Johnson in your time in Miami?
Let's just say he got your attention. I know guys were on pins and needles, when he coached because he was a no nonsense coach. He got the best out of the players. But if he liked you and he liked me, obviously he traded the first round pick to get me. He liked me, so I was on his good side. So it's kind of like he had infinity for DBs, me, Sam, and the other guys. We were his guys. But if you got on his bad side, then it was rocky. But if he likes you, man,
Hmm.
he was a guy that you would like to have in your corner.
I mean, and people talk about his hair. I mean, the dude, what did it look like? Oil slick or whatever? I don't even know, but I'm not going to ask you that. I just brought that up. Uh, Last question before I turn it back over to our esteemed host. Um, can we have you on when you get the call from the NFL Hall of Fame?
Oh, absolutely, no doubt about it.
Because I'm confident. Let me say this to you, and I'm going to be honest. You and Sam Madison, y'all were unfairly galvanized. It was unfair that y'all were so good and don't have a ring to show for it because your offenses on those teams were, I think, would be so good. I feel like
Oh, yeah,
you can get it. You could get to Canton and Sam too. Sam's got a chance as well.
no doubt. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, man. We had 15 different starting quarterbacks my time in Miami, so it's hard
Crazy.
to get any content on the offensive side of the ball with that many quarterbacks.
15. That's a lot. But JB,
Oh yeah.
That's more than a lot.
too
uh,
much.
Patrick Surtain, we'll get you out of here with just one last question. What advice would you give young players today whose dream is to get to the NFL?
Obviously, the work is the work. You have to put in the work. You have to be technically sound, man. But you have to be a student of the game. You got to be able to take coaching well. You got to be a leader. Just all of those things, all encompassing to making it to that pristine spot because only so few guys make it, man. And obviously you gotta have your breaks. You gotta catch a break sometime. It's always not the most talented guy who makes it, but the guy who catches the break, who goes to the right situation, and that to enable them to best utilize their skill sets, so the NFL could see you because they're gonna find you. If you can play, they can find you. And there's numerous, countless stories and situations out there where a guy went to a lesser school. Like, for instance, the first cornerback taken in this year's draft from Toledo.
Yep.
It's not the big Power Five school. So, like I said, man, if you can play, you can play, but you got to be dedicated to your craft, man. And it's crazy because I'm speaking to the team on a 27, and my word for the team is attentiveness. You got to be attentive, man. You got attention to detail really matters. At this stage, in those guys' life, so they can be that, man. They got to be intentional about your craft, man. You got a pretty good opportunity.
Well, definitely. Patrick Surtain, Sr., thank you so much for joining us. We truly appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Definitely.
Oh, pleasure.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Patrick Surtain, Sr., one of the best cornerbacks to ever do it in the NFL. It's funny, George asked that question, who he patterned his game after, and I was like, I can't name no one. It's him. Just him.
Oh no! Let me. It is him, but I asked because the cornerbacks that preceded him, Dion Woodson, Daryl Green, and
Yeah.
guys like Mel Blunt. You talk about some polarizing defensive backs that were look. They were dominant figures in their time, and that's why I wanted to see where he was. And look, I put Patrick Surtain up against a lot of great corners, guys, and that killer at the level. And on teams, means you don't get right. You do somewhat do what you can do. And I feel and I feel good. I wanted to take it to his son picked, and his son got picked in the first round, if I remember right. The Broncos took him, was it? Then at the ninth,
The
Yes.
I think,
Broncos, yes.
something like that. I wanted to
19.
get his perspective as a father for when his son got drafted, and we were closing out. You know,
All right. We're gonna have George come back in a second. He's having technical difficulties on
Yes.
his end right now. I know I know he had lost internet earlier, but he's having technical difficulties. We're gonna back in a second. Um
Yes.
your thoughts on Patrick Surtain Sr., VK?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Pat Surtain and Sam Madison need to be inducted in the Hall of Fame together. They need to go in together because they were that good. And it's amazing that we didn't had three great defensive backs that is like, you know what I'm saying, from this state that's really impacted the NFL. One is Ed Reed, who's a Hall of Famer. Another, and when I was wishing that he would have more of a longer career, but he came up big late in his career, and that's Ryan Clark. Now you have Pat Surtain, who's just been consistent since from the word go, since he's been drafted. And it's been amazing when his career and everything else, when it comes down to it, I think him and Sam Madison will be inducted in the Hall of Fame. I mean, but I tell you, Surtain has been tremendous over the years, and it's unbelievable at the time that he lived in New Orleans at the time to still go there in the car. And
Yep.
this was before the charter stuff and everything. And then the car at the time was a magnet. It
Mm-hmm.
was a high school, but it was a magnet high school. So that was something in itself. But for him and that car team in '93, and then the basketball team after, I mean, it really set that tone for what Edna Carr is as a high school in itself. And Pat is legendary, and he's done a great job with his son. Look how he's doing in the league. But then on top of that, you look what he's doing now, trying to touch young men at Florida State.
Well, go ahead, George Peppers, finish up.
I pretty much piggybacking off what you said, VK. I mean, this dude was one of the best to play at his position, and you ultimately, I mean, it's how the NFL does their Hall of Fame inductions and everything else. With how who gets in. Some years it's an offensive year, some years it's a defensive laden year. Um, but and I don't remember. Maybe you guys could look it up. I don't. When he became first eligible to go in. He's been retired for a little minute now. So, and I don't remember how the NFL procedurally goes with how long you could stay on the ballot until the Veterans Committee puts you in. That's the other thing that I don't have in front of me. But even then, I think we're all in lockstep that this man deserves to be in Canton. And I want to see who would induct him, is the best thing I want to see. Maybe it's his son. That would be killer to watch that speech, wouldn't it?
Yep. He's
Yes.
Pastor Tane was released in 2009.
All right.
February 24th, 2009. So he had to wait 5 years. So that would have been 2014. Now we had 2024. 10 years he's been waiting. But one of the best to ever do it.
And y'all see this comment, huh? Austin Tyler.
Yeah.
The New York Giants didn't really, man, talking all that noise. I don't know who Austin's team is. Messing with me like that, man. It's a Tuesday night, and we just had a deluge on in Marrero, so and it kind of knocked the internet a little wacky. That's why I got bounced out. But we're good to go now, and can't wait to get our next guest on here in a few short minutes because VK, you were talking about him last night, Chris Cooper, and I'm really looking forward to talking to this man. And some of the stuff you told us in your conversation with him in advance of tonight, that really anticipating this interview. And every interview we're doing this month is top notch. It's we got to up our game and ask the probing questions and ask the right questions. And this is a month that when we do these interviews, we just we up our game because it's not just any ordinary interview. Interviewing legends, greatness, and gotta be great. You gotta put yourself amongst great, and to have them, you don't want to be the reporter that asks the foolish question like those knuckleheads on media day at the Super Bowl. But
Oh man,
let me. I'm not going to be specific, but y'all know where this is
we
that
gonna
could go, but I'm not going to take it there.
we gonna leave that alone.
Exactly.
BK,
Yes, sir.
BK, want to go to you. We talked about his son, Patrick Surtain II, for a little bit. Excellent player at Alabama, and now already two-time All-Pro in the league in a short
Hmm.
period of time. What do you think about Patrick Surtain II?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, and I'm gonna say it again, it's not too far from the bloodline. Not too far from the bloodline of how athletic he is. Not too far from the bloodline of a playmaker that he is, and everything else. He is as good as his dad. So you just gotta love it. It's amazing when keep hearing his name. You know what I'm saying? Kept hearing his name. You know what I'm saying, through the high school ranks, going into Bama, and then
Yeah,
seeing him play at Bama, and I'm like, oh, he's really, really good. I
yeah,
mean, very consistent, just like his dad. But the thing I love about Pat, and I know Pat probably still watching, and you're gonna love what I'm about to say. It's the character. I
hmm
love Pat Surtain Jr.'s character, and it's just like his father, and that's a good thing. Like I said, it anything don't nothing don't come far from the bloodline, and that's huge there because his dad went through a lot when he was younger, and for him
Talk about
to
the hardships. He talked about that.
overcome them hardships to
Yep,
get where he is, and for him to know I'm going to set my children for success, that they don't go down that same road. But for
yep,
his son to continue to have the character like his dad, it's amazing, and he's doing a lot of things entrepreneurship outside of the NFL.
yep.
That's huge there for him.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Pat Surtain II. I think we're gonna be talking about him for years to come. Years to
So
come.
yes,
Would
sir.
look good in a Giants uniform one day. Just throwing it out there.
I don't think
You
so.
know.
I don't think
Oh man,
he look good.
you have no fashion sense, sir. You don't have no fashion sense.
I have no fashion sense. I have no
I'm messing
fashion
with.
sense. Oh man. Oh
Whoa,
man. Not
I
Mr.
mean,
GP with the shirt tucked in, Mr. GP.
hey, you wearing that funny hat for well, how much VK paid you to wear that hat tonight?
Hey, bro, he didn't pay me a goddamn thing, you know. I
whoa.
got a lot of bunch of hats, you know. I still gotta wear that Michael Jordan jersey for you. I still gotta wear
Oh,
that for you.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I know it'll be a special request and dedication on your behalf, right? I get you. But Pastor Tane Jr., two-time All-Pro
Oh,
already.
the second,
Uh,
not Junior, the
the
second.
second, I say
well,
Jr.
and,
I'm
and
sorry,
that's
the
and that's a
second. Okay,
and that's
let me.
amazing. That's a rarity and they're doing that a lot more these days. That a lot of people calling
They
themselves the
are,
second instead of junior.
Yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, but Pat the second, and not to be egregious, is quickly carving out a niche as one of the best defensive players in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Already a two-time All-Pro. That's no accident. That's ability. And for a
Yeah.
Broncos team, and I hope he doesn't have the same fate as his dad because that Broncos offense was kind of miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Now they got Russell Wilson and they got rid of him. Uh, I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know what they're going to be with Bo Nix and oh goodness gracious, who is it? Is it Sam Darnold there? I forgot who's the bridge guy
The backup,
there for the Broncos. Huh?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know nobody.
It's somebody.
I've been
It's some
hearing
journeyman
been
that I
hearing
don't
great
even
things
know.
of Bo Nix. Been hearing a lot of good stuff about Bo Nix lately.
Yeah, I know, but I have my reservations about Bo Nix, but that's just me. But that's another
Some
discussion for another
some
day
Peyton
when we.
officers might be
I know,
fantastic.
but
I'm telling you.
I
I'm
have
telling you.
I have my reservations. VK with the thumbs down. I don't want to go there yet
Yeah,
because I
that's the
kind of want
backup.
to see.
Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's the backup now. Yeah.
Oh Jesus, the man who. Well, let me not say what was a word family show. I'll leave that alone. His off the field exploits are to be determined, or to be not revered at all. But
I still got faith
yeah,
in Zach Wilson. I still think he could be a good quarterback in the league.
I
Zach
did, I
You did,
did.
not more.
Zach
No,
Wilson. What?
what about no, I just want to say this, Vicky. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
Oh, you
interrupt.
good? You
See,
good?
I apologize. No, but Zach Wilson, I loved coming out of BYU. Absolutely loved him because I saw his moxie and his makeup and his build, his ability to throw the football and squeeze it into tight spots was really good. And people are gonna say, oh, it's BYU, they play wide open. I think he couldn't handle the pressure of New York, VK. That's what I think. It's a big market, and he melted. And really, now he's in Denver. And I'm not saying Denver is a small market. It is more centrally located in the West. I think there's an opportunity for him to resuscitate his career in with the Broncos and with maybe the best offensive mind he's had in his career in Sean Payton. So maybe he keeps Bo Nix on the bench for a little while. I don't know. I mean, I know
I think
VK, you got
Bo
reservations on
Nix
Bo.
start.
He's not starting day
Well,
one.
I think Bo
well,
Nix started day
I,
one.
we'll
I
see.
think, yeah, I think Bo is gonna start game one. I think the problem with Zach Wilson, and just to be honest, Zach Wilson has not really adjusted in this league for one, and for two, if he's gonna be that guy, I don't believe in him because he need to stop messing around with the women's and focus on the freaking
See,
game.
I didn't want to go there though, but you
I'm
did.
sorry, I'm
I
going there
know.
because I'm like this, bro. When I see distractions, I'm calling you out because,
Red
bro,
flag.
it's just a fact. Come on, bro. We see you. If you do what you got to do, stay focused.
How you know he messed with all the women though? We only heard one thing about him.
No,
It's
Mama's
all
I
best,
over.
heard
It was all over
mama's
New
best
York.
friend.
all over. We not talking about one thing. We talking about more than one. That's not good
I
when
didn't
you're
hear all that.
smeared.
Yeah.
When you're tremendously smeared, yeah. But he has to do what he got to do and stay focused. You see, he having a baby. So,
Yes,
and I
I ain't
hope
hear
it.
that either.
Yeah,
I didn't. I actually didn't either.
yeah, that boy about to have a kid. So I'm telling you, it's just the fact ain't nothing wrong. And I see what you're saying, DJ, but at the same time, if you're going to be that guy and continue to make money, knowing he's Caucasian and they always get them backup jobs, it's just the fact of the matter is some people gonna get tired of your stuff and it gonna cut you off. That's just what it is. And Zach Wilson sometimes acts like a spoiled brat. And that's just what it is.
How you know?
Now, bruh, you see some of them games how nonchalant he act on the sideline? That's being a spoiled
No.
brat.
Aaron Brooks is
Let, let
nonchalant
me.
to
Let
me.
me.
I
Let
don't
me.
think. Make it quick,
JB.
though, so we
Go
can
ahead,
go to
Joe.
commercial break.
I know. I
Make
was
it
going
quick,
to
JB.
interject and say this. VK's on a point because when you see his demeanor on the field and how he reacts to his coaches, I think that's where he's going. Is that he became a little combative with the coaching staff in his tenure in New York. He's not going to do any of that with Sean Payton. And one more thing, Bo Nix is a system quarterback. I don't know if he's going to succeed in Denver. I have my reservations about that. We'll see, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe VK's wrong. But I don't believe in Bo Nix of the drafted quarterbacks in this first round. I don't believe he's going to have elongated success. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see.
Oh,
I
man.
agree. We'll
All
see.
right. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will be joined by Chris Cooper, standout player at West Jefferson High School and played at LSU and Southern University. When we return right here on the Hash It Out Show.
Welcome to Bayou AV Security. My name is Rusty Mathern, proud owner and operator. We specialize in providing top-notch audio solutions, advanced security cameras, reliable internet services, and stunning permanent holiday lighting. At Bayou AV Security, we are your one-stop shop for all your needs, whether it's enhancing your home entertainment system, securing your property, ensuring a seamless internet connection, or illuminating your outdoor spaces. we've got you covered. We are locally owned and conveniently located on the West Bank. As a fully licensed business, we take pride in delivering quality service you can trust. You can see our exceptional work showcased in the parade of homes. Experience the Bayou difference firsthand. Bayou AV Security, where technology meets reliability. Call us today to experience the Bayou difference.
Head coach of the Hahnville Tigers boys basketball team, and you are watching the Hash It Out Show.
Welcome back to the Hash It Out Show. Joined by my co-host VK Jones,
Head
George
coach
Peppers.
of the Hahnville Tigers boys basketball team, and you are watching the Hash It Out Show.
Our next guest is a standout player at West Jefferson High School. Went on to play at LSU and at Southern University. We have the one and only Chris Cooper. What's going on, Chris? Can you hear me, Chris?
How you doing?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, bro. How y'all doing, man? Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all for having me on.
Definitely, man. Glad you are able to join us. Let's get right into it. What was it that got you into playing football?
Here y'all.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's good.
Can you hear me now, Chris?
How y'all doing?
All right. What was it that got you? We doing good,
Good.
man.
Great,
Doing
we
good.
great, we great.
Doing good.
Yeah, I can hear it just kind of low. That's all.
I got you, brother.
Okay, you can hear me?
What was it? Yeah, we hear you fine. Hear you fine. Yes, sir. We got you. My question, first question. What was it that got you into playing football?
Say it again.
What was it that got you into playing football?
Oh, my mom, man. My mom, season ticket holder for the Saints. And I mean, you know, for year 27 year season ticket holder for the Saints, you know, you gotta be a football fan. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I could grow. I remember the neighbors next door coming over checking on Miss Barber because she hollering and screaming at the TV during the Saints game. This during the 80s, but you know it was bad.
Yes, indeed. Were there anyone who was a major influence in your life besides your mom?
I was with my cousin Derek at the time. You know, he was kind of like my father figure growing up, someone who I looked up to. He got killed in '95, so he actually never got to see me play football. You know, and you know, my mom used to. Her guy was Dick Buckus. She always told me about Dick Buckus. He's actually the reason why I wore 51 at West Jeff because of Dick Buckus, and I kind of geared my, you know, my playing like, you know, when when somebody, you let them know, you know what I'm saying. And my mama, I used to watch films, you know, and they would talk about Dick Buckus sitting there with the dirt in his face mask, and you know, just his style of play, man. I just was intrigued, you know. And when I got in college later on, when I got in high school later on, I was a junior CIO. Like I was junior CIO. That was my dude, you know what I'm saying? And I geared my game toward.
Most definitely. You were a standout player at West Jeff High School, two-time All-State player. What are some of your greatest or favorite memories of playing at West Jefferson High School?
I'm gonna tell y'all, you know, I was watching the show before with Pat, and they was talking about rivalries. But let me tell y'all something. It wasn't nothing like West Jeff Eric in the 80s and 90s. You know, I mean, you know, my partners about Landry and Walker. I mean, but Landry Walker wasn't going nowhere. That was the battle of Algiers. That wasn't for the championship or something like that. Those West Jeff games last night, every game, Eric was 9-1, 8-1. They were ranked number 3, and I'm 9-3. Jefferson Parish was out there on horseback. The prize over the stadium was packed. It was packed. That was a legendary game. They had Amigo team. My boy, I was on TV. That game there, man, that best games ever. It was real legendary.
What was the reason that made you decide that you wanted to go play at LSU?
Man, yeah, it was kind of a last minute thing. I didn't grow up an LSU fan. I mean, my first ever watch was in I think this bowl. Herb was, and that's only because I knew Herb and I know he was a West Jeff guy. But growing up, I never like you. I was Florida State, Miami, Notre Dame. Miami. I'm saying Florida State. I did recruited by Miami, and if I had recruited, it was Miami. I would have been a Hurricane. Never came, but yeah, that was my school, man. Like LSU was kind of, that was like an afterthought, up until like the last minute.
You later decided to,
and then
what was the reason?
So then, like towards the end was the recruiting process. With me playing ball, Donaldo at the time. I couldn't play football my senior year, and he wanted me regardless. He wanted the future. Because a lot of schools had dropped out, when they found out I couldn't play my senior year. But Donaldo was like, we want you. We don't care. So that law. So that man wanted me with that. And they.
You wound up transferring to Southern University. What was the reason in you doing that?
I mean, PT playing time. I mean, I felt like with that LSU. I know I was set. Had I known now, I know then, about these coaching changes. And then right before he left and went to Texas. And had I known then, out in the new defensive coordinator, Coach Tepper, he kind of honored. He told me, when I came, they wanted you. I didn't want you. You was they kind of had their recruiting class set of who they wanted, and he just kind of had to take me. So after 3 years, I waited. Donaldo got fired and Saban came, so I stuck around figuring, once Saban came, things were going to be different. I was going to get a fresh start. And, by that time they came in with, pretty much who they wanted. And, I just felt like it was time for a change. Wish they had the portal. I wish they had the portal then. They didn't have the portal back then. I clowned with a couple of my partners who left and went to Southern. And I love Southern. I have no regrets with Southern. Southern's were good to me. But had we had the portal back then, Southern would have never saw me. It just, it is what it is, at that particular time, what I'm saying? You had to, the transfer, you had to sit out a year to go to another D1. Now you can just jump. So I felt like I had been sitting 3 years already. I'm not going to go sit another year just to go to another D1. So Southern was like the obvious choice.
Chris, man, it's good to have you on. We appreciate you taking the time out to join us and everything. First of all, we're gonna stick to college a little bit. What was the difference like from LSU to Southern, especially, you know, you look at the rivalries of LSU, going against Mississippi State or Alabama, but then you went to Southern, the big time rivalries you will look forward to is versus Jackson State and against Grambling in the Bayou Classic.
Well, I grew up my whole life for Grambling. Like I'm graduated from Grambling in 1970. All my family graduated me. I could Grambling. I've been my months was a Grambling fan. So being able in the Superdome, drinking, stay preferably, but just me going to Southern, I have to play that. And I'm being lost. Had to find somebody to tell me, and I have my name, because I was lost. A name, because but just being able to play in the Superdome was just like what the Dome Patrol played, what the Saints played. It was just like amazing to me.
How was with the adjustment from Coach Donardo to Coach Pete Richardson?
Well, actually, I went from Saban. I was there with Saban first year, so I went from Donardo to Saban. Pete. Yeah, I went from Saban. So the adjustment was from Donardo to Saban, and man, it was like night and day. Man, Donardo was military. I'm talking about he had us brainwashed. I mean, to this day, in my vehicles, in my house, all of my clocks are set 20 minutes. Was man, it was heck, man. It was realize how bright it was. Although until Saban came with the name, we had a kid walk into a meat thing and he about to jump on it and he was cool. He was chill. And with Donaldo, it would have been like, you're not playing next week, like straight off the top, But from Saban to Pete, man, Pete was cool. Like, I tell my kids sometimes that, I played for 2 Hall of Fame coaches, you know what I'm saying? Just to being able to play for Saban and play for Coach, you know what I'm saying? I mean, man, Pete, I just asked Pete, I just wanted an opportunity. I didn't want him to give me anything. Just give me an opportunity to come here and play and showcase my talent. And Pete was like, opportunity you need, and that, and gave me an opportunity that, Coach Pete was cool, man. He was real laid back. I'm saying it was, going from the SEC to SWAC is different. It was night and day from the SEC to SWAC. Definitely.
That was like huge right there. You got a couple of huge victories against Grambling in itself. I know, deep down might be one side kind of heartbreaking for your mom, but the other side is like pro Chris Cooper.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? So I just already know right then and there.
Tell you one story, man. When I transferred to Southern, I still was wearing like my LSU gear. So one of the ladies in the bookstore stopped me. She was like, "Excuse me, you know what school you at?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am, I do." And she said, "Well, we sell Southern gear." And I was like, "Well, I mean, Southern didn't give me anything yet. LSU gave me. But I mean, if you get something from Southern, at that time was when they changed the logo. They changed the logo from the SU when they put on the logo at that time. She gave me a beautiful gold Southern flag, man. It was beautiful. And I went home. Mama had the LSU flag outside the house. And I went up and took the LSU and put the Southern flag down and didn't tell her. And went out and talking to my neighbor, and he was like, yeah, Chris, how you doing? I said, what's going on, man? He said, man, I said, man, what? I said, damn, what happened to the flag? He said, oh man, Miss Barbara came woke me up and told me take it down, I can have it. And she told him he could have it, get the flag away. She wasn't having that Southern flag hanging out outside her house. She wasn't having that. Not she's a diehard Grounder, man. She hated the fact that I went to Southern, man. She ain't never let me get over that.
That's crazy in itself. Let's talk about your time at West Jefferson a little bit. The year that y'all beat John Ehret, then that was your junior year. Probably the best defense West Jefferson ever had, and I mean, for the first, I think 7 games.
JC, let me rephrase that. Let me. That's not the best defense West Jefferson had. That was the best defense in New Orleans, period. We was defense. We ain't gonna sit it down on West Jefferson and say that's the best defense, period. We gave up 15 points in 9 games. I mean, do the math. We was animals, man. We was savages over there, man. We was, we played against, Reggie Wayne, James Jordan from Bonneville. We talked about, Big Rob from Bonneville. And we shut them boys out. You know what I'm saying? 0, goose egg. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we were dominant. I argued with my boys from West Jefferson from 94 because they had a good defense. And, we was in the same situation where they were undefeated in 94 and lost. And then we was undefeated and won. And we shut that 94 down. It wasn't stopping us, man. For that defense, we were dogs, all 11. As we went by 15, 16 deep. We weren't the best in the city in 96.
Absolutely. And you know what I'm saying, I'm just saying that historical, but at the same time, I get it. At the same time, first 6 out of the 7 games, you do not give up a point. And that was amazing in itself that not too many, the last defense that really had kind of numbers. There's been similar defenses like that, but we ain't seen anything like that since St. Aug, I believe, 75, where they only gave up 6 points in the whole season. So that was like maybe the last time we've seen something like that. But at the same time, you guys were amazing, and especially with yourself, Darius Santiago, Andre Shackelford, what is
Well, Shaq went on. Shaq went. My boy D Nice, Randy Williams. My boy Sel Block, Corey Brown, and David Stevenson, and we had the twins, man. We had the twins. Well, I was telling you, we transferred from Walker, and came to our team, and they were like, they came. We call that Orleans, and they brought it to West Jeff, man, and they really, solidified our defense, and I tell my boys about we were a team. Like, I got most of the kind of delays. We were a team. Went to the mall and went to the house and we watched film, and we were a real family back then, and the accolades, but my line was dogs. Oldest son, he played linebacker, I tell him, I say, a linebacker is only as good as a D line. I don't care who you. If you don't hate boys, them hogs off, sideline to sideline and make hits and stuff, So my defensive line was solidified, and they told me to get where I went.
And what was scary about that West Jeff team, besides the defense and everything else, we knew early in the season the offense was trying to get it together. But late in the season, they really started gelling. Jamarian Hollins at quarterback with Ivan Jefferson and also a couple of other big players. And I mean, I tell you, the offense started coming together. You had a good kicker in Ryan Cooper. And
yeah.
Yeah,
but you know what?
Really
I think about that. That started practice. You know, my dog Ryan, I talked to Ryan, he's amazing, man. But you know, it started at practice. You know, we out here pitching shutouts and y'all giving us field goals and 7 points. You know, I mean, you know, our practices became scrimmages. Like we were hitting at practice. Like, you know, y'all, we turned practices into like real live games. You know, Coach Jones, you know, rest in heaven. You know, my coach, he passed away in January. You know, Coach Byron Jones. I mean, we turned practices into scrimmages doing now. And all these can breaks. So if you could score on us and get some yards on us, then y'all solidified. They started coming around. You know, really started just practice. You know, we was our own scout team. Scout team play. We was running ones on ones. You know, and that's the way he's going to get better. You know,
usually live practice be kind of really something that really gets the team going. So I definitely get it with that one. Yeah. And you guys really started turning up late in the year, and then all of a sudden the playoffs came. Survived against Rummel in a very classic first round game, and then Central Lafourche. You guys had a 17-0 lead, and then all of a sudden Central Lafourche made a huge comeback for the win. Can you give us a little bit of your thoughts on maybe what happened that night? Because I tell you, I was there for that one.
Bro, man, you opening no wounds.
I don't mean to do that, but I was there that night, and I really thought you guys was gonna get it. I really thought you guys was gonna get it done because it was y'all was in a great position to get it done down the road.
I'm talking about I cried for like 4 days. I don't think I took a shower for like a couple of days, like after that game, man. I'm talking about, you know, my mom and my girl at the time is cutting off my cleats because I'm crying. I'm full of grass and I'm not even taking a shower. And, you know, the phone rang. And if they're not on the team, I'll talk. Like, it was everybody that wasn't on the team, you know. And we talk about that, you know, my boy Randy, that was a linebacker. We, like, you know, we saw his mom's house to watch Friday Night Football on Saturday mornings, you know, when he came on in the morning because we didn't get to watch it the Friday night. And his mom had a box of Patton's hot sausage. And we by his mom's house, hot sausage, and Friday night, they're like, West Jefferson this one, but they fall short, act like we was in church, man. We started acting like we was in church, man. It was like all over again. I'm telling you, man, it was heartbreaking, man. That was devastating. When we got Jones funeral, man, we went out and hung, and when one person brought that game up, and I'm talking about, you see a couple of guys, hold up, man, let me, it still hurt, man. It still hurt. To this day, it still hurt. You know, I tell people that was my state championship gone bad that year. Like, that was just, you know, that's a wound right there, man. That's a touchy subject.
I understand. I just wanted to see what was your thoughts about, because I felt bad myself because I really thought the way it was looking that y'all guys was gonna pull it off. Y'all looked like that was dominating and everything else. That was like the two most devastating losses I've ever seen with West Jeff. The other one was Melvin Dickerson's junior year. They had a 20-0 lead on Hahnville, and Hahnville came all the way back to win that game. And I was
man,
my God.
I was like, you know, at that time I was a Patriot. You know, I was a Patriot that year at Eric at West Jeff. You know what I'm saying? You know, I was at Eric when they lost that year, so you know, I wasn't too upset about that one. You know, and you know, that was before I transitioned, before I knew better, and transitioned across the tunnel to West Jeff.
I'm actually this last question. George Peppers will take over with the questions here. What does West Jeff and Coach Jones meant to you in your life, because you went through something before you even got to West Jeff that inspired you to go on and play football, and especially being at West Jeff?
I mean, it was, I like I said, Coach Jones passed away in January, and one of the highlights was, his son, little BJ, and his wife out to me and was like, asked me to be a pallbearer, at his funeral. And that really touched me, saying, to think that all these years later, they still think of me enough situation, And, when I was at West, we used to have, on Friday, and, I didn't even know how to tie a tie, and Coach said, you better get off that bus, you better have it tied. And I was like, Coach, how to tie a tie. He pulled me to the side and he showed me how to tie a tie. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's little stuff like that, that, with the kids that I work with now, I teach them type of thing, how to tie a tie, how to have posture, how to put cufflinks on and stuff like that. At that time, I didn't have nobody to really show me, stuff like that, and, he was that mentor for me, during that time. And, one other coach I want to throw out there was Coach Mack. Coach Mack was our defensive coordinator. When I wasn't playing, I was a school teacher at Jefferson Parish, PE coach at this school. And she was telling him, Eric, he's not playing. He's not. Coach Nord is not giving him a fair share over there. And Coach Mack, he the one that I met before I met Coach Jones. And he told me, I'm let him come over to practice. Tell him come over to West Jeff and we want to take care. And I'm in '95. My practice at West Jeff conditioning, and Coach Mack pulled me to the side, and he told me, and I can remember like yesterday. He said, "If you do what I tell you, the way I tell you, and I tell you to do it, you'll be all American before you leave here." And because I took that to heart. And and I tell my kids now, when a kid love a coach, he'll go all out for that coach, whether it was Coach Mack or Coach Jones. And I've been coaching kids, for the last, since like 2012. And when you get a kid to believe you and go by what you say, I mean, that kid plays hard out for you. You know what I'm saying? And Coach Mack, when he told me that, I mean, he turned David Bannon into Lou Ferrigno. He created an animal just with that one statement. And and after that, what I'm saying, it was like I learned all for him, and now I did that.
George Peppers.
Chris Cooper, first off, full disclosure before I start, I'm a John Everett alum. Biggest rival for you guys, West Jeff. I'm an Everett alum, class of 1990. So there's a little. I don't want to say, well, I mean, exactly. I know a lot of the rivalry. My first question to you, let's talk about the rivalry, because I asked this similar question to our last guest, and I want to ask it to you. Let's be honest, this Everett West Jeff rivalry is not a rivalry right now because Everett has had them over the last decade. Talk about the relics of back in the day. When you talk about Everett West Jeff, see, it used to be when I went to school, and even years after I got out, week 10, that was the game to be at Memphis. Somebody was going to be on the visitor side, someone was going to be on the home side. It was the game to be. The expressway was loaded with people. Yeah, the goalpost loaded with people. I mean, it was, and let's be real. I mean, I miss those days. And look, this year, for the first time in many a year, they're going to put that game in week 10. But afraid to say, it's not really, again, it's not really a rivalry until West Jeff changes a lot. But would you put the Everett West Jeff rivalry of back in the day amongst the best in the state of Louisiana?
I'm not, me personally, I think it's second to none. At that
Okay.
time. I mean, you can go back to when Cordell Stewart was playing and when Alfred Payton, when Coach Crosby was coaching those West Jeff teams in the 80s. The year Eric won the state championship in '85, West Jeff beat them. That week
Yep,
10.
they did.
Week 10 was it. I mean, then you got pretty much the tunnel separating the two schools. One side of the tunnel was blue, another side of the tunnel was
Yep.
red. You don't remember Bell Promenade Mall. You got Bell Promenade versus
I do.
Oakwood Mall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it was. Marrero versus Harvey. You know what I'm saying? And that's just
Yep.
pretty much how it was.
There were some great athletes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I partners because we had this conversation on Facebook years ago. It was talking about and Auburn 35 and Landry and Walker and this and that. I mean, if the game don't mean nothing but for neighborhood show, then it's not a rivalry. The winner was going to the playoffs, the loser wasn't, and that was kind of like those other games. Landry Walker. Whether they lost, they probably weren't going to playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't a rivalry as teams that you're fighting for. Other than I'm from Alger, I'm from McClendonville, and I'm from the Cutoff. You know what I'm saying? So our rivalry was like it was meaning behind it, other than just neighborhood bragging rights. We were playing for a championship. That game determined championship. Every our rivalry I put up there because the winner won district. The winner of those other games just won. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it was, those games meant something. So you talked about the late, great Byron Jones, who was your coach at West Jeff. And look, God rest his soul, first off, before I ask this next question. Continue to rest in peace. One of the greats at West Jeff. Him and Henry Cosby, beacons of coaching at West Jeff. But when you talk about Coach Jones, personally to you, what was the most telling thing he did? I know he meant a lot to you, but was there a moment where he just, where it clicked on for you to really take off as a player? What did Coach Jones? How did Coach Jones push you? Is what I want to know.
And my mind was so different. Like when I played, and I'm gonna say this because right now I said, but I was a real killer. Like that was my goal. I played to destroy whoever had the ball, And I could remember we was at practice, and the scouts there. It was like a line full of scouts out there, and the offense was kind of getting us because we were holding dummies. So it's making us look bad. F all that. We finna play, And Coach Jones was like, no hitting, no wrapping up, but it was kind of no-win situation. If I hit, I don't, and don't wrap up. Now you're fussing at me because I did something wrong. So I'd rather me do something right and you fuss at me. And I remember I made a hit and, he got on me real bad. And then I just kind of it off in the very next play. I laid another one out and he kicked me out of practice and told me run. But the scout was like, who that kid is right there? But it wasn't that I was being. Now you look at it as being disrespectful. Just I had to, it's like in my territory. Don't have bad. And they got scouts out here. You know what I'm saying? But discipline, because in that, I always tell my boys discipline. And I did go against the grain, but it was in my eyes, it was for a good cause. And the discipline for him in front of the other kids that Chris get the same treatment everybody else. They don't do what I tell them. It looked good to him, what I'm saying, but it didn't look good in his eyes, what I'm saying, that, I was going against the grain. But, like I said, he was special, man, because he was genuine. And just give me a chance, opportunity, and he gave me something that I didn't get, on the other side of the tunnel.
It's interesting you mentioned, and I want to go to the recruiting aspect of your senior year. You mentioned you weren't an LSU fan at all. Like you mentioned you like Florida State, Notre Dame, and a lot of the premium schools out of state. What was it that turned you to LSU? And Jerry DiNardo, who was your first coach at LSU, what was it that Where where was the moment where you decided,
it
yeah,
was
I'm going to go to Baton Rouge?
it was actually it was hard, man, because what people don't understand at that particular time, Tulane was on a rise. You know what I'm saying? Coach Tommy Bowden had just got the job at
Yep.
Tulane, and he had, he said to JK, Coach Burns, who he was at Tulane that recruit me, and they, I remember my visit to Tulane was like I took 5 visits and one of them was Tulane, and I went to Florida State. I was telling Jay last night, Christmas Day of 1997, me and my mom was sitting at Coach Joe Paternal house. Christmas band, and I think back now, looking at the things they happened with Penn State, I remember me and Gusky. Of course, we know what's going on with Sandusky, right? And I remember sitting down having one-on-one conversation with Sandusky. I remember him, writing me. Now everything is on Twitter. Then coaches were actually coming to the house and sending. At that time, getting recruited, the handwritten letters was personal. So Sandusky was writing me handwritten letters, man. Me and him sat and talked a long time. And like I said, Tulane on my recruiting trip to Penn State, LeVar Arrington was my host on my recruiting trip. My mom went up there and it was cold. I'm about, it was snowing. It was, and I'm here up here. I let her put my linen jacket on. Mama got her little furs on, warm, and I'm sitting here cold. And in that particular time, Penn State didn't even have an indoor facility. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, y'all practicing in this? Like really? Like, man. So, then I went to Florida State. I was sold, man. And the worst thing Florida State did to me was tell the truth. Because had Florida State lied to me, I'd have been a Seminole. And,
Wow.
they didn't want me to play linebacker because I was 5'11", 6 foot, 5'11 and a quarter, how they would call it. And I ran a 4.47 coming out of high school. And so Florida State wanted to move me to strong safety. And I was just like, I don't think that's right. The first thing I thought about when they told me about moving to strong safety was me being on Sports Center getting trucked. That's the first thing came out. I said, man, you have no ESPN can run over safety, man.
Oh, wow.
But, had Florida State lied to me and they want to keep me at linebacker, I've been a Seminole. But so that all for them. Penn State was cold. I went to Florida on a recruiting trip that was horrible. At Florida. And it really came down to LSU and Tulane, man. And Tulane sold it, man. It was close, man. Tulane, the my recruiting trip was Tulane. And Coach Phillips, my boy Fish, as the head coach at Warren Easton, he was my host on my recruiting trip to Tulane. And, he was kind of like, well, Chris, what you want to do? We at home, But what it did was it got what Tulane did was so special and a good tactic. They took everybody from New Orleans area and brought us on the same weekend. Like they didn't have no kids from out of state and out the city. They just had kids from the metro area that weekend. So we got to meet kids who we knew who they was. We know each other, but we don't know each other. But I know that's Michael Plummer. That's Burst from Shaw. So we see each other on TV, never met, and then we kind of clicked up that weekend, and it came out. Okay, man, he cool people. I'm just kind of, and then they got our parents together that weekend, and I'm gonna tell a quick little story, bro, about the Tulane trip. If y'all got recruited, y'all know how recruiting visits go. So, your hosts take you out on Friday nights, right? The hosts take you out on Friday, and the coaches take the parents. And so we all hanging, but some of us are 18, some of us are 17, so we go to and some get in and some people can't, so some of us in the club and some stuck outside because they was the age. So we went outside and what we call parking lot pimping, you know, and we had a good time, man. We had a blast and we had a great time, you know. So the Saturday morning, you meet back with the parents. Half of us don't show up for the breakfast. And I remember 35 had a dude named I remember my boy Talman, dude that Talman, they know Talman. He played at 35 for our receiver. He was on a recruiting trip with us, and he fell asleep on my mom at the breakfast that morning. He slept in my mom, like trying to get to her, and so it's kind of like, well, where is everybody? And half of them come, half of them did, and told the parents, you know, like, we're sorry, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what I mean, but we just had time, you know what I'm saying? And everybody just didn't Saturday morning, you know, it just, you know, but you can laugh at it now, but it wasn't a laughing moment when it was happening, you know what I'm saying? Because it didn't look good on Tulane that half of us didn't show up for breakfast Saturday morning, you know. But yeah, man, that was a good time. Man. But, you know, through all that, it just kind of, you know, with the recruit with LSU, you know, Baldwin was, you know, Coach Baldwin recruited me, and, you know, he was like, you know, 80,000 versus 30,000, 20,000 at Tulane, you know. I remember he told me the only time Tulane game is full is when we play them, you know, and, you know, they just kind of you know, they did that a long time, you know, and the North, you know, and they need, like Coach Reese was like, you fit in my system. You know, like, I want you here, you fit in my system. And, you know, but, you know, a couple of weeks before signing day, he left and went to Texas, and that pretty much was my demise after that, you know. But, you know, if I know then what I know now, I'd have left with him. You know, it is what it is. So, you know, I'm here with my boys, and right now, you know, that's all that matters.
Have you ever thought of getting into coaching? I know you work with your kids and you work with young kids. Have you ever thought of pursuing a career as a coach? Because you were one heck of a linebacker.
Well, I mean, actually, you know, my team for my boys, up in, you know, until today. One of my greatest moments this particular year is I had 6 kids that I in Little League that signed scholarships this year. You know what I'm saying? You know, signing day was a big deal this year. You know, my oldest son, but to feel like I had a life scholarships signing day, I mean, proud. You know what I'm saying? You know, always telling me, I just want you to go. You know, and I kind of undid the ring. I like the coach, but I like the coaching more. The fact that I got to coach my sons, you know, so once they got to like junior high and high school, you know, I kind of lost the interest in coaching, you know, because, you know, I tell them I can't go with you all the time. You know, you're gonna have, you know, and then it got to the point where, you know, they got a voice. You know, they just think daddy just talking mess. So it's time for them to hear a voice. So, you know, I love coaching, but I have to do it with them, you know, and, you know, so once they got old enough, you know, to where they didn't really need me coaching them anymore, I just, you know, I was happy to watch the games from the stands versus being on the sideline the whole time, you know.
Last question before I turn it over to JB, close things out. The NIL has changed the landscape of college football, national name, image, and likeness. I mean, I know to me, the NIL is good and bad, but I want to get your opinion on both that and the transfer portal. Do you think in the transfer portal, players have transferred multiple times? Do you think there should be
I think it should be because.
Go ahead, Chris. Go ahead, Chris. Because he be basically talking about the NIL and how much impact it's making, and also the transfer portal.
Man, look, I like it, then I hate it. I mean, back then, you know, kids was transferring because you wasn't playing. Like, how can you be starting at a Power 5 school and leave and transfer? Like you're starting. Like what are you leaving for? It's not no blood. You just transferring kind of just cause. You can play quarterback and because they recruit another 5-star quarterback, or they, I'm gonna leave because he coming in. I mean, it's making our kids soft. It's making them really uncoachable because it now it's to the point where, I don't like this. You tell you kids know about stuff. I'm gonna just transfer. You know what I'm saying? And they just leaving, and they're not coachable kids. I mean, because of time. I mean, you gonna quit and transfer because you don't like it right now. You know what I'm saying? I know the money. A lot of times now, they coaching situation hard on the kids now. I mean, that's why Saban left. I mean, we all know that. Saban retired because of NIL. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hard to discipline kids now. You know what I'm saying? And I love the fact that I'll teach my boys something different because these kids today are different. I mean, they're not bred like we were bred. They got anything. They just quit now. To me, you transferring, it's like you quitting. Like you said, of a rough time, you don't want to fight what you got. You want to hand it to you. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nothing handed to us. You know what I'm saying? We had to, you know what I'm saying? Last night, and about when I transferred to Southern, Southern, thought that about me was that, I'm the LSU dude and I was going to get special privileges. No, I'm going to come over here and earn it. I'm going to come over here and knock fight. These kids today just, what I'm saying? Situation, like I said, when my youngest son changed at his high school, and everybody was talking about transferring. In high school now, they want to just jump ship in high school. And we thought about it. You know what I'm saying? And my youngest son, he was like, Dad, I don't want to leave. You know what I'm saying? He said, Mama, I'll play for anybody. I can play anywhere. I don't have to leave. You know what I'm saying? And I love that he told me that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, where these coaches getting hired and leaving and getting another job. At some point, you play college. At some point, you're going to go through that coach, be versatile, to adjust to different coaching. You know what I'm saying? Because, this coach might have one for him. And just because the scheme, you got to adjust to the game. And the game is about it. And these kids are there. They just why are you transferring? Strictly because of the money? They want stuff handed to them. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't want to work for it. They just want to, they're gonna give this guy. Okay, you come in, knock some heads off, you can get it. You know what I'm saying? And they don't, they want the. I don't know no job where you get paid first, then you work. You know what I'm saying? You go to a job, you got to work for it, you get paid. You know what I'm saying? They don't pay you up front. And these kids now, they want their money up front. They don't want to work for it. And it's making, man, like, it's just something the game.
Most definitely. Chris Cooper, we want to thank you for joining us. We truly, truly appreciate you taking time out your schedule to join us on Legends Month. Thank you.
For having me, man.
Chris, can you hear me?
Chris.
Because, it's different.
Definitely, my man. Appreciate you.
Your dad was different from me, to them out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Chris Cooper of LSU Southern and West Jefferson High School. Fellas, we are up against time almost. So I'm going to ask y'all for your last words, and then we'll get into the guests we have tomorrow night. So last words, BK.
Well, what a great night tonight. You know what I'm saying? Great night with both our guests. And, like I told y'all, Chris Cooper has a story to tell. And he had a story for us tonight, indeed. You know what I'm saying? So great night for our legends to come on and tell us about their backgrounds and what they had to overcome in their lives. And I hope this inspires a lot of people watching this particular Legends Month, and especially this night of Legends Month. So Hopefully, we're gonna have some great ones going on forward. But be sure to continue to listen and watch the replays, watch it live as well, because I'm telling you, you missing out on this Legends Month. We got some great guys and great stories.
GP.
It's refreshing to hear Chris Cooper's last answer to my last question. It's a generational answer when you look at it. He came up like we did, hard, tough, and you got to go out there and get it. Now, these kids are soft, extremely soft. If the first adverse situation, they won't leave. It's refreshing to hear that answer. And VK, you were dead on spot accurate about Chris Cooper, the story to tell. But I saw his mannerisms and how he answered our questions and how he portrayed himself. I think he would make a very nice head coach, a coach somewhere, with his demeanor. I feel like he would really, if he considered it. I mean, he's working with young kids now. He's got kids and in school and everything else. But I can picture Chris Cooper getting into coaching ranks full on, and I think he would do well if given the right opportunity. But you mentioned how great these guests have been. We got another one for you tomorrow night, and boy, like I said, this is the one that we're going to anticipate because somebody here is going to relive a very, very extremely painful memory tomorrow night, and it's going to be fun though.
Yes.
Look at BK.
BK, shut your duck ass up. Anyway.
Wait, what?
You're lucky it's a family show. But I don't want to do.
Anyway, tomorrow night, 7:30, we have former Bell Chase High School quarterback Blake McTurn. And then at 8:15, we have former South Plaquemines starting quarterback Ridge Turner. So Plaquemines Parish, stand up
and show out.
Yeah, that too. Show out tomorrow night. Blake McTurn and Ridge Turner. Yeah. Not so much for Ridge, which y'all see right now, but at Blake McTurn, boy. Anyway, so
you should be a good interview like Brock.
Huh?
You should be a good interview like Brock, man. So I'm telling you,
like Brock. Brock can do the damage. Blake did.
Brock didn't beat Shaw.
Blake did.
Blake did, but you're gonna do great, man. Don't worry.
I know. Oh,
you're gonna do great.
Me and Blake already talked on the phone. It's all good. Trust me.
We know.
We're gonna have to relive a memory for a little while, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good though. But be back here tomorrow, 7:30, Hash It Out Show, Blake McTurn and Ridge Turner. And we'll go from there. So, but for my man VK Jones, for George Peppers, I am JB, the sports guy. See y'all tomorrow. Y'all take care.
This is Arkisha Bakay, the owner of Dizzy's Cafe. I am here with VK Jones, who is a part of the Hash It Out Show. We're coming to let y'all know what they got going on, and Dizzy's is a proud sponsor of the show. Tell them what we got.
Well, the Hash It Out Show now has been on the air for 3 years, over 100 shows and everything. Right now, we got Legends Month. We are interviewing the best players that ever played in the state of Louisiana, so join us for that. But at the same time, we got the Hash It Out Show Game of the Week. We're going in year number 2, making a lot of changes this year, so we're looking forward to seeing what happens. We'd like to thank Miss Arkisha and the Dizzy's Cafe for sponsoring us. This is one of the best restaurants in the city of New Orleans, in the 6th floor. Come over, I'm telling you. And I hope a lot of people just come by. We had last week, they had Essence Fest, and I'm telling you, it was packed. Oh my goodness.
So if you're in the area, come and see us at 1500 Esplanade Avenue in the heart of Tremay and experience some of the best Creole soul food you'll ever have in your life. Because the food is always hot and straight from the pot.
Thank you for watching the Hash It Out